From inside a bomb-proof cellar deep in the bowels of a villa outside the Dutch city of Eindhoven, a technician from the German Post Office's research department listened through his headphones to a dense stream of noise. United Kingdom Prime Minister Winston Churchill and United States President Franklin Roosevelt were speaking on their telephone, their conversation shielded by Bell Labs' A3 scrambling system, which cycled through 5 ciphers every 12 seconds. Even though no one outside that villa yet knew it, Nazi Germany's Foreign Intelligence Service had defeated the A3's encryption. The work of Kurt Wetterlein, the gifted engineer, had given the Nazi leadership real-time access to the private conversations of their enemy's top leaders. This week, research by the Institute Citizen Lab revealed that Israel's Pegasus software was deployed to target secret communications of the United Kingdom's Foreign Ministry and Prime Minister Johnson's own office. The espionage Citizen Lab says likely involved the intelligence services of India, the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, and Cyprus. For just a few $1 million, Pegasus gave countries powers that were monopolized by influential nations for much of modern history. For many governments, including that of India, the Pegasus story is a compelling argument for placing cutting-edge technology at the heart of the future evolution of their intelligence services. The outcomes of the Post Office's feat, though, give reason to nuance that conclusion. Like all tools, the utility of intelligence technology depends on who uses it and for what purpose. Little imagination is needed to see why Citizen Lab's revelations have led to wry smiles in India's intelligence community. Ever since the 1960s, the UK's government communication headquarters was at the heart of the so-called Five Eyes, the Western intelligence alliance that sucked up and decrypted almost all global electronic communication through the latter half of the century. Five Eyes spied on enemies like the Soviet Union, and one European investigation found on its friends as well. For decades, Five Eyes also maintained a relentless watch on India's nuclear weapons and missiles programs, just as it did on Pakistan, China, and every regional power across the globe. Long before it purchased Pegasus, India had sought to develop similar monitoring capabilities of its own through projects like the Defence Research and Development Organization's NETRA and the Development of Telematics Lawful Interception and Monitoring Project. There were, however, some real-world constraints to India's efforts. To give one example, the United States National Security Agency spent more than $400 million a year on pure mathematics research alone. That isn't the kind of cash India could ever bring to the table. But the problem's this. Big Brother's big ears might hear everything, but hearing isn't the same thing as listening and drawing useful conclusions. The NSA and the Central Intelligence Agency had successfully penetrated Al-Qaeda before 9/11, generating multiple warnings in the months before the devastating terrorist attacks. But those warnings weren't properly understood by the CIA's analysts. For that matter, the technology didn't even help the CIA anticipate India's nuclear weapons tests in 1998, even though its satellites detected unusual activity around the test site in Pokhran. Improper analytic assumptions, declassified documents show, led the CIA to misinterpret those images. Similarly, even though India received multiple warnings about the 26/11 attack on Mumbai, helped by the United States surveillance of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, errors of interpretation and judgment allowed the attacks to occur anyway. Indian spies distinguished themselves in the build-up to the Kargil war, but again, errors of assessment meant their warnings went in vain. In the summer of 1943, the intercepted Churchill-Roosevelt calls allowed the Nazis to preempt the planned surrender of the Italian military. The following year, Nazi foreign intelligence listened in as Roosevelt gave the final go-ahead for the invasion of Europe. "Well, we will do our best," Nazi spy master Walter Schellenberg recalled, hearing Roosevelt say after the conversation. "Now I'll go fishing." Even though the Nazis could listen to what their enemies' top leaders said, though, there was one problem. Nothing they heard told them where the invasion was directed or when it would happen. And it didn't tell them that all their estimations were actually the result of a massive Allied deception operation. Legendary East German spy chief Markus Wolf once noted there were limits to what listening to an enemy's secrets could really tell you. Almost all the reams of paper produced by the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and stamped with codes like Cosmic or Top Secret are, when you get right down to it, not even worth using as toilet paper, Markus Wolf observed. He wrote, "Technology can only establish the situation of the moment, but secret plans, options, and other considerations will remain concealed even from the most sophisticated satellite." To this we can add that while intelligence can help inform decision making, it has rarely had a decisive impact on the strategic situation. Allied code breaking, it's true, did play a critical role in defeating the Nazis in the existential Battle of the Atlantic, the titanic struggle to keep Britain supplied through the fight of the Second World War. The brilliant mathematical achievements of the code breakers, though, would have been of little use without the development of new anti-submarine technologies and, most important, the gargantuan shipbuilding capabilities of the United States, which could make ships faster than the Nazi Navy could find and sink them. In another famous case, the Battle of Midway, code breakers provided the United States with precise estimates of Japanese naval intentions. The actual outcome of the battle, though, had very little to do with intelligence and a lot to do with Vice Admiral Chuichi Nagumo's foolhardiness and bad gambles. The achievement of the Soviet Union's greatest spies, Richard Sorge in Japan, Leopold TREPPER's Red Orchestra in Nazi Germany, or the double agent Harold Kim Philby, who was at the heart of British intelligence itself, show that old-fashioned spies can be much more devastating than the ability to intercept enemy communications. Languages, long familiarity with peoples and cultures, analytic skills that allow for complex judgment. India's espionage landscape has long been short on these kinds of capabilities, which is the stuff of really great intelligence work. Intelligence services in most Western countries recruit candidates with diverse skill sets, often directly from campuses. The Research and Analysis Wing in India, in contrast, draws its leadership only from the Indian Police Service, whose officers are given a 6-month crash course in intelligence. Financing technological acquisitions for intelligence work is seductive for governments because it appears to offer a quick fix for intractable problems. Generating a cadre of genuine China specialists could take India decades, but purchasing equipment that can penetrate China's computer networks or monitor ethnic religious terrorists hidden outside India is relatively easy. Like India, other countries have sought to compensate for their weaknesses with tech fixes. China's intelligence service, whose clandestine tradecraft probably doesn't rank among the world's sophisticated, expert Peter Mattis has noted, have invested heavily in mass data collection and artificial intelligence-driven analysis. That sounds impressive, right? But there's reason for skepticism, though. Experts like Arvind Narayan, a computer scientist, argue that while AI has its uses, the claims that it can predict individual behaviors or social outcomes are basically snake oil. Even though spying on the phones and computers of Prime Minister Johnson's inner circle might have generated some tactically useful insight, and who knows, perhaps even titillated the spies who were listening in, its real utility is unclear. Experience suggests it's improbable that Pegasus-generated intelligence was of real strategic worth. The German post office technology told the Nazis that British Foreign Secretary Anthony Eden thought one of his bureaucrats was an idiot. As interesting as that might have been, it was of little practical use. Like Markus Wolf might have warned, things that are truly important aren't the things that leaders put down on pieces of paper or discuss on the phone. Genuine intelligence work needs more than gadgets. India needs to start making the thoroughgoing institutional reforms and capability investments its intelligence services desperately need. I'm Praveen Swami, and I'm National Security Editor of ThePrint.